Tēnā koutou katoa. Nā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. Ko Melissa Woolley tōku ingoa, ko te pukinga here te kanga mahi tohu mahi. I'd like to start with some acknowledgements. Firstly, to our Minister of Women, the Honourable Jan Tinetti. Thank you for hosting us today and for the work you do every day for working women in New Zealand. Also to the Honourable Kamosi Poloni for the work you do and your ministry do to empower people to get the skills and support they need into paid work. Also to the Honourable Calvin Davis for his role in the original 5-employer NGO settlement. I also want to acknowledge the body representing the employers in the sector today, social services providers Aotearoa, Claire and Brenda, and Mike from Bernardo's, and of course my PSA colleagues here. Finally, I want to acknowledge the social workers, particularly PSA Delegate Pania Tulia, who you'll shortly hear from. You have all contributed in a meaningful way to the important announcement we are celebrating today. We know what social workers do for our communities across the motu. For our tamariki, rangatahi, and the whānau they support is critical. That's why we're here today. It's not an exaggeration to say that this work saves lives. Social workers have a tough job. Social work is critical in building stronger relationships with whānau and in turn stronger communities. Social workers need to quickly read and navigate sometimes harrowing but always challenging situations, grasp complex emotional responses, devise appropriate responses and apply judgment with speed and sensitivity. Because these so-called soft skills and attributes have long been regarded as women's work, the work is often undervalued and almost always underpaid. Correcting such wrong-headed, outdated thinking is part of the wider effort to remove all gender equality across all workplaces and occupational groups. That's why today is a great day. Soon all NGO social workers will be paid fairly for the important roles they have in supporting the health and well-being of many. Their work will be properly valued and at long last they'll be worth 100%. We all here agree on what this is really, it's historic. There's more to do though. We must end all undervaluation of women, and as a union we are particularly conscious that there is a significant effort and funding needed to pay Māori and Pasifika women what they are truly worth. But today we say thank you, Minister, thank you employers, thank you workers for campaigning for this. Minister, your government has worked with us towards settling this long-standing issue of pay equity for the hard work that our NGO social workers do. Your government has also created a solution for the funded sector and pay equity. This is the funded framework, or the framework for the funded sector, and this will be the first settlement that this has been used and completed. In 2018, Waranga Tamariki social workers achieved a well-deserved pay equity settlement. This historic settlement exasperated a substantial existing pay gap between them and their community and iwi counterparts. The PSA lodged the first claim to settle the pay disparity in 2019. Last month, the Honourable Calvin Davis announced the settlement involving 500 workers across 5 employers. It was significant and life-changing, an average of 36% pay increases for these women. You'll hear from PSA Delegate and social worker Pania Tulia shortly about what a difference this is already making to the lives of her and her colleagues, particularly at a time when so many households are feeling the squeeze. Extending the settlement to all NGO social workers will mean that thousands more workers like Pania will also see their incomes rise. That means it will be easier to pay the rent or the mortgage, put a decent meal on the table and to treat the kids. The next step on this journey will be important, so we encourage all employers and workers to get involved. Ever since the Oranga Tamariki settlement, the NGO sector has really struggled to retain workers. The pay disparity has caused high turnover rates. The extension, once settled, will go a long way to retaining social workers in this critical sector. It will also mean a stable workforce, and that means those vulnerable tamariki and rangatahi will get better, more consistent service. Today is also a victory for them, their whānau and all of Aotearoa. We at the PSA are so proud to be advancing pay equity. It shows the power of unions to improve the lives of workers, and that is never more important than now. I cannot think of a better example than today for why we do what we do, or for greater inspiration to lift our heads up and keep at it. Thank you.